All right, this one calls for candlelight, restraint, and all the quiet tension of things felt more than said. A slow, lingering story where a single almost kiss can hold the weight of everything. A moment before midnight. The house had been alive all evening. Music drifted through its corridors, piano and violin woven together in polite harmony. Laughter rose and fell like a tide in the drawing rooms, softened by velvet curtains and the glow of gaslight. Silk skirts whispered across polished floors, and gentlemen's voices carried just enough to be heard, never enough to offend. It was, by all accounts, a perfectly respectable evening. And yet, at the far end of the conservatory, beyond the open doors and trailing ivy, something far less respectable was quietly unfolding. They stood apart at first. Not by design, but by necessity. Society had rules, and those rules were precise. A glance could be afforded, a conversation if properly chaperoned, but closeness, real closeness, was something that existed only in stolen moments. And so they waited. Across the room, beneath the filtered moonlight that spilled through the glass ceiling, their eyes met more often than chance would allow. Each time something shifted. A fraction longer, a fraction deeper. She stood near a marble pedestal, one gloved hand resting lightly against it, her fan forgotten at her side. The soft blue of her gown caught the light like water, and her hair, carefully arranged hours before, had loosened just enough to frame her face in a way that felt almost unguarded. He lingered near the doorway, engaged in conversation he scarcely heard. His responses came a beat too late, his attention pulled elsewhere, tethered invisibly across the room. At last, the opportunity came. Her chaperone was called away, summoned by some distant acquaintance, leaving her alone for what was surely meant to be a moment, nothing more. But it was enough. He crossed the room with measured steps, each one deliberate, as though he could feel the weight of the moment settling around him. When he reached her, he bowed slightly, just as etiquette demanded. "Miss Everleigh," he said, voice low, carefully composed. "Mr. Harrow," she replied, though her voice carried the faintest tremor. For a moment, they said nothing else. The music drifted in from the adjoining room, softened now, distant. The scent of roses and night air lingered between them. Somewhere, a clock chimed the quarter hour. "You seem to have found a quieter corner," he said at last. "I believe it found me," she answered gently, "though I cannot say I mind." A small smile passed between them, brief but meaningful. Silence followed again, but it was no longer empty. It was filled with awareness, with the shared understanding that this simple conversation meant far more than it appeared. "I had hoped," he began, then paused as though choosing his words with care, "that I might have a moment to speak with you alone." Her gaze lifted to meet his, steady despite the warmth rising in her cheeks. "And now that you have it." "I find," he said softly, "that I am reluctant to waste it on ordinary conversation." Her breath caught just slightly. "That would be most unfortunate," she replied, attempting lightness, though her fingers tightened faintly around the edge of her glove. They moved then, almost unconsciously, deeper into the conservatory, where the shadows grew softer and the world beyond seemed further away. Moonlight filtered through the glass above, painting pale patterns across the tiled floor. They stood closer now. Not improperly so, but close enough that the space between them felt intentional. "You should not be here with me like this," she said quietly, though she made no move to step away. "I am aware," he answered, "and yet..." He let the words trail off, unfinished. "And yet," she prompted, her voice barely more than a whisper. "And yet I could not remain in that room pretending indifference," he said, "not when every moment I find myself searching for you." The honesty of it settled between them, fragile and undeniable. She looked away for a moment, gathering herself, then returned her gaze to his. "You speak dangerously, Mr. Harrow." "Only because I believe you understand me," he replied. A pause. The air felt different now, charged, delicate, as though the slightest movement might change everything. Her gloved hand shifted, brushing lightly against his sleeve. Neither of them withdrew. "Tell me," she said, her voice softer still, "what is it you hope to say, given this rare opportunity?" He hesitated. Not from uncertainty, but from the weight of it, from the knowledge that once spoken, such words could not be taken back. "That I admire you," he said at last, more than is perhaps wise, more than is certainly proper. Her heart quickened at that, though she kept her expression composed. And if I were to say, she began slowly, that such admiration is not entirely unreturned. He exhaled a quiet release of something long held. Then I would consider myself exceedingly fortunate. Their eyes held. Closer now. So close that the world beyond them faded entirely. The music, the voices, the expectations waiting just beyond the doorway. All of it receded until there was only this moment, suspended and fragile. He lifted his hand, not to touch her face, not yet, but to hover as though asking permission without words. She did not step back. Instead, she tilted her head ever so slightly, the smallest of gestures, but enough. The distance between them narrowed. Not all at once. Slowly. Deliberately. Their breaths mingled in the cool night air, visible only in the subtle rise and fall of their chests. Her heart beat so loudly she was certain he must hear it. His gaze softened, intent and unwavering. This was the moment. Not the kiss itself, but the breath before it. The space where everything was possible and nothing had yet been decided. Should we, she began, though the words faltered. I do not know, he admitted quietly, only that I have thought of little else. Her lips curved, faint and trembling, as have I. Another inch. Another breath. The world seemed to wait with them. And then, footsteps sounded faintly from the adjoining room. Voices drew closer. Reality, swift and unyielding, returned. They paused, suspended at the edge of something neither of them would forget. Slowly, reluctantly, he lowered his hand. She stepped back just enough to restore propriety, though the warmth between them lingered undeniable. Another time, he said softly. Another time, she echoed. But as they turned to rejoin the evening, composed once more, indistinguishable from the others, both carried with them the memory of that almost kiss. And the certainty that when it came at last, it would be worth every moment of waiting.